Hello, folks. I want to talk about this article by the Christian Post that came up today, talking about Revelation chapter 8. The book of Revelation and end times prophecy is a a very close topic of mine. I like listening to theologians and even evangelists talking about the end times. And I have for many times and many years have always just kind of gone through and really went through the word and try to understand the book of Revelation. I just really want to understand this book. And because it's significant for myself and for all Christians around the world, because the rapture happening validates our belief in Jesus to everyone, to the whole world. We will finally be valid, vindicated almost that yes, this Jesus that we have been talking about is real. You want to know what he looks like? There he is. He's up in the clouds. Mind you, I'm about to go do the running man on the golden streets with him because I'm out of here because I believe in him. Again, that's just a hypothetical, but it is a very important doctrine of the Bible, and I just cannot wait for that to happen, as any Christian should. So I just want to get into it because I saw this article and and there was something in this article that just really made me feel like, man, this is bad. And it is what this article says. One example of this is something now referred to in the mental health field as rapture anxiety or religious trauma syndrome. And I just want to um, have you follow me. I am not an expert in Bible prophecy, nor am I an evangelist, nor am I a pastor. I am just a guy on YouTube, LA Hale, who wants to help those who come across this video to know that Jesus and this whole lie that Jesus can come back at any moment is just that, a lie. And I want to go you and show you some different Bible verses that I personally feel like have stood out to me to debunk this view that Jesus can come back at any time. So, first things first, I want to basically set it up to you is that the time frame of Jesus coming back, the world that he comes back and shows up in the sky, to is that world is going to be completely different than the world that we see today. America will be different, Europe will be different, Middle East will be different, everything will be different. And why is that? Well, because for one, um, we, uh, uh, you know, the Antichrist will be on the scene for one, and two, you know, many things are going to be happening in the world at that time. Christian persecution is going to be rampant. You're going to be seeing, we as people, if you're on this earth at that time, you're going to be seeing crazy things. Again, I want you to ask yourself, why does the world, when the Antichrist stands in the temple, in the holy place, why does the world believe him to actually be God? Unless he were to do something that is God-like, you know? And again, I know a lot of us are thinking, oh, well, it's with AI, AI enhancements. Well, if the Antichrist is somehow worshipped as God because he has AI enhancements, then what about everyone else who also gets AI enhancements? Like, or what about the people who already have AI enhancements at that time? They will be like, well, he's not God. I can do that too. You know, the Antichrist is going to have to be some form of being that is far beyond the normal human beings that we see here today. And what I mean by that is, even with the advancement in AI and in technology that is happening now and will continue to happen up till then, I think that the Antichrist is something different. He is set apart from humans, not because of his physical enhancements or him being possessed by something. I think the Antichrist, when he is born, is going to be born sinful and have no redeeming qualities. He is, from the moment he comes out of whatever mother's womb pushes him into this world, from that moment on, he is not savable. He is not redeemable. The Bible calls him the worthless shepherd, the son of perdition. Perdition means destruction. He is the son of destruction. There is no hope for him. He is the one human being that is born on this earth who will have no chance of redemption or forgiveness from God, because from the beginning, he is evil, pure. And I just want to go ahead and just preface that. But Isaiah 60. Sorry, I'm mixing, getting my things mixed up here. Daniel chapter 8 is one thing that I feel like is the setup to this end times thing. Daniel chapter 8 says that, I lifted up my eyes, and there standing beside a river was a ram which had two horns, and these two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher one came up last. You can ask many theologians, and you can go through YouTube, internet, Google, and say, who is the ram in Daniel chapter 8? Many people will say that the ram, and many of these articles will say that the ram is Iran. All right. And Daniel goes on to continue. Well, he says that the ram was pushing westward, northward, southward, so that no animal could withstand him, nor was there any that could deliver from his hand. But he did according to his will and became great. Iran is not a great country right now. If you know this, Iran right now is going through some its own political upheaval and uprising, where a lot of the young folks in Iran are kind of sick and tired of the ruling government. But again, Iran is not great. You can't even say that it's going to become great in the next year or two. I don't know, but again, Iran, the Bible says that and became great. Iran is not a great country right now. And we don't know, I don't know when it will. I'm just saying right now, it's not great. Next year, probably still won't be great. Maybe the year after that, still won't be great. Who knows? Daniel continues. And as I was considering, suddenly a male goat came from the west across the surface of the whole earth without touching the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between its eyes. Then he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing beside the river, and ran at him with furious power. And I saw him confronting the ram, and he was moved with with rage against him, attacked the ram, and broke his two horns. And there was no power in the ram to withstand him, but he cast him down to the ground and trampled him, and there was no one that could deliver the ram from his hand. So again, the goat, the ram is just doing its thing. Iran is doing its thing. It is gaining power. It is butting into the business of everyone around it. And then here comes this goat charging with great fury. If you know any sort of geological, positions of this country, Turkey, is very close to, well, not very close, but is closer to Iran than Greece is, or Europe is, or Italy, or any sort of Western Christian, country. Turkey's right there. And if you know Bible prophecy and studied the Bible a lot, you will know that maybe the Antichrist is actually going to come out of Turkey or a region around Turkey. I know a lot of Christians think that the Antichrist is going to be some European person, but I just hate to break it to you. Europe, the United States, Russia, they're not in Revelation. They're not in the end times of the Bible. And if they are, they're not mentioned. The countries that are mentioned is Israel and the countries around her. Okay. Again, the countries in the direct vicinity around her: Egypt, Libya, Syria, Iraq, Jordan, Turkey, those countries around Israel. That is what it is concentrated and focused on in the Bible when it comes to the end times. Not the United States, not Europe, and definitely not Russia. Please get out of your mind that somehow the battle of Gog and Magog is somehow dealing with Russia. Russia is not in Gog and Magog. Please, folks, stop listening to these leaders and these pastors telling you historically wrong Christian doctrine. The end times is focused on Israel, as the most of the Bible is about Israel, but it is focused on Israel and the countries directly around her vicinity. And I can't remember the verse, but it mentions these countries that are surrounding her. All right. None of those countries are Russia. None of those countries are Europe. All right. It is the Middle Eastern countries around Israel that are going to attack her. All right. And surround her. So again, Daniel chapter 8 has not happened yet. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, this is something that has already happened. It's already happened. This is Alexander the Great that Daniel is talking about. I want to bring you further down into this chapter in verse 17. So Gabriel comes to Daniel. Daniel passes out because he's like, yo, OMG, I can't believe this. And he just falls on his face straight dead. Like, he's just like, oh my goodness, this guy, he's crazy. He's so awesome looking. He's just gone, passes out. So Gabriel comes over there and he's like, understand, son of man, that the vision refers to the time of the end. All right. Daniel looks up and it's like, sorry, let me just read the Bible. Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep with my face to the ground, but he touched me and stood me upright. So, like, Daniel saw Gabriel and then literally was just like, just like passed out. All right. And then Gabriel had to be like, yo, fam, like, stand up, bro. Like, come on, I need to tell you this. And like, Daniel was just like, man, bro, like, you're just so glorious and so crazy looking. I'm about to like basically pass back out right now on this ground and look like I'm sleeping. And Gabriel was like, nah, fam, don't do that. I need to tell you something. And so Gabriel said, look, I am making known to you what shall happen in a later time of indignation, for at the appointed time the end shall be. So again, folks, the rapture, Jesus coming back, it is not going to happen at any time, at anywhere. There are things that are going to lead up to that and things that haven't happened yet. Again, I just want to kind of give you a bit of a snapshot on what the Antichrist is in his personality and his, it doesn't go all the way into his features, but you kind of get a gist of what the Antichrist and how he is going to be. Again, in the later time of their kingdom, when the transgressors have reached their fullness, a king shall rise. Who is this king? The little horn, having fierce features, who understands sinister schemes, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy fearfully, and shall prosper and thrive, and destroy the mighty and also the holy people. Through his cunning, he shall cause deceit to prosper under his rule, and shall exalt himself in his heart, and shall destroy many in their prosperity. Again, folks, to say that Jesus is coming back at any time, this person, this man right here, this event that happened before describing this man has not happened yet. Again, when the rapture happens, Jesus told us what it would look like and how that day will come. And again, talking about that day, I want to, kind of segue into this. That was a bad segue, but again, follow me. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition. So for all you folks thinking that Jesus is just going to come up and boop, be gone, like left behind, and our clothes are just going to be scattered everywhere, floating, falling down from the sky or whatever, floating in the water, Jesus tells you, let no one deceive you. No one, no pastor, no evangelist, no YouTuber, no one deceive you by any means, meaning books, movies, TV shows, sermons, serious sermons in a series, what have you. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and not let that, and unless the falling away comes first, and then a couple of years later, after the rapture happens and then the man of sin is revealed. That's not what the Bible says. It says, unless the falling away comes first, comma, and, meaning the falling away happens and then eventually this man of sin is revealed. And we are still on this earth. And I want you to think about this for all you who are pre-tribulation rapture believers. If you truly think that the pre-tribulation rapture is true, that God is just going to get you out of here before anything bad happens, I want you to consider for this, for a second, what if you're wrong? And what if this verse is actually talking about you? Who do you mean it's talking about me? The falling away. That right there is talking about the people who think that Jesus can come back at any time. And what I mean by this is, if you think that Jesus can come back at any time and that he's going to come back before anything bad happens, and then when the bad stuff does start happening, those same people who thought that they're going to be taken out of here will be the same ones who were like, I guess the Bible is wrong, and they fall away from the faith. Thus, they are the great falling away ones, if that is a word or a phrase. Stop believing in this pre-tribulation rapture heresy, folks. It is dangerous. It is causing the church, not around the world, but it's really causing the church in America to become so apathetic and lethargic and just lazy when it comes about spreading the gospel. We think, well, there's no reason to really worry about Christian persecution. Not going to happen to me. I'm going to be out of here. That is so self-righteous and so selfish of you as a Christian to think that. And if you are a pastor, if you're an evangelist that has been promoting this pre-tribulation rapture nonsense, please read the Bible for yourself. This is 2 Thessalonians. Jesus, the Son of God, said that when the rapture happens, what is going to happen to the earth in those days? The sun will be darkened. The moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven will be shaken. Again, not some silent rapture, but a amazing thing, something that everyone sees. Revelation chapter 6 even mentions it. And I looked when he had opened the sixth seal. Behold, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black. The moon became like blood. And the stars of heaven fell to earth as a fig tree drops its late figs. And the sky receded as a scroll when it is rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. Again, we're talking about the same thing Matthew 24 is talking about, which is this day, that day, the day of the Lord. The day of the Lord is the same day that the rapture happens and the wrath of God is begun to be poured out, begins to be poured out. That same day. And I know many of you are like, oh, you're wrong, LA. The rapture can happen at any time, LA. You don't know what you're talking about because you're not going down to the other end of Matthew 24 where it says, no one knows the day or the hour. True. No one knows the day or the hour. I am not disputing that at all. What I am saying is this. He says no one knows the day nor the hour. What about the month? What about the year? Because it doesn't say anything about that. And if you're an intelligent person, a smart person who's like, yeah, well, he didn't say the day or the hour because, in those ancient times, they didn't really, when they were writing, they didn't mention and get really specific about days, or the Bible's never specific about any sort of day. Pause. Let's go to Genesis chapter 7. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, on the 17th day of the month, that on that day, all the fountains of the great deep were broken up and the windows of heaven were open. And again, I think this is very interesting because this is very specific about another world-ending event that the Bible mentions. And this one happened thousands of years ago during the time of Noah, where Jesus has also said that in those days, it will be like the days of Noah. So again, if I can find that verse right here. Here we go. But as the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. For in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. So again, Jesus is talking about the flood. And if you're like, oh, no one knows the day or the hour, well, he just wasn't being specific because the Bible never is. Year, month, day. So if Jesus wanted to be specific about when he was coming back, he could have been. But he didn't because he realized, well, he just tells you straight up. He doesn't know. Only the Father knows. But, I'm trying not to lose my train of thought here, but if Jesus says no one knows the day or the hour and left out the month and the year, I think we can be certain amongst ourselves as Christians, as true believing Christians, real true believers, that Jesus is not going to come back at any moment now. He's not going to come back tomorrow, next week, next month, or next year, or 5 years from now. Okay? Because certain things have not happened that will lead up to the rapture happening. Again, Daniel chapter 8 says, until when the transgressors have reached their fullness, meaning when the evil has finally reached the top and is about to spill over. All right? That's when things, the end time and the time of the indignation will begin. Again, I'm just making this video because I'm tired of seeing articles and hearing Christians say that Jesus can come back at any time and telling other non-Christians that Jesus can come back at any time. Are you ready for the rapture? Are you ready for Jesus to come back? Folks, there has to be many things that happen first before that happens, before the rapture happens. I'm gonna kind of pause this video here because I want to make another one. I know this is kind of already going on too long, and I kind of been jumping from this verse to this verse to this screen to this screen. But I just want you to know there's no need to have rapture anxiety. There's no need to have this paranoia about Jesus coming back. Jesus made it very clear when he comes back, you'll know. Everyone will know. And he has made it very clear that no one knows that day, and that day won't come unless there be a falling away first, and then the man of sin be revealed. So there hasn't been a falling away, meaning there hasn't been a huge, monumental, just leaving behind of the faith of millions and millions of Christians, not just in America, but around the world. That hasn't happened. And the Antichrist is not on the world scene. I don't even think the dude's born yet. All right, or made yet, whatever. He's not here. The spirit of Antichrist is here, but the actual person of the Antichrist is not here. I'm believing, and this is just my personal thing, that the end times and the Antichrist and all those events is probably like maybe 80 to 100 years later on from now. All right, I'm going to be dead. Many of you are probably going to be dead. Again, Gen Z will probably be old people by the time that happens. But again, the Antichrist is not here. Jesus is not going to show up at any moment. And we need, as church, as real, true believers, we need to stop saying this lie that Jesus can come back at any time. It is causing the buildup of the falling away. Because again, these people think they're going to be whisked away before anything bad happens. And when that doesn't happen, they will leave the faith because they are going to conclude to themselves that the Bible was just full of lies and was just their faith was made in jest. They will become the people who fall away from the truth, from the faith, because they're believing in this lie of pre-tribulation. I personally believe in a pre-wrath rapture, like Jesus mentions and talks about in Matthew 24. Pre-wrath, before the wrath of God comes out and is poured out on the earth, the rapture happens. But before the wrath, not post-wrath, not pre-tribulation rapture, but pre-wrath rapture, meaning Christians around the world and in America especially are going to go through tribulation. You're going to go through persecution. You're going to go through those hard times. You're going to see who the Antichrist is. You're going to see him. Whoever is around on earth in those days, as a Christian, you will know who the Antichrist is. You'll be able to tell your unbelieving friends, stay away from him. So again, stop believing in this lie of the pre-tribulation rapture. It is false and it is deadly. And I hope to make another video about this again soon. Thank you for watching.